So would you say you have to adopt almost a completely new lifestyle when picking up ATEC?
Not necessarily a different lifestyle, but a different attitude, a different frame of mind, a different frame of reference. Because otherwise you're just going to get swallowed up.
Is that properly pronounced?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Like you sharpen a knife on, but please don't. I just happened to find a copy of 3D Studio Max, also illegally. And that sort of started to snowball into this whole interest in getting into the CG side of things. I had done a little bit of drafting, I had done a little bit of graphics design. I've been using Photoshop for probably 12 years now. But ever since Toy Story, ever since those first Pixar movies, I've been really interested in getting into that field. And I've managed to do a pretty good job so far getting into that.
Would you like to explain a bit about lighting and composition in relation to the other areas of 3D?
Well, the way that lighting and a comp works, especially where I'm working right now at Real Effects, what we get essentially is the final animated version of whatever files are coming down the pipe. And we get these gray, ugly, not very attractive looking images, and we apply the light and the composition elements to it. Things like depth, things like motion blur, things like color correction. All of those things that take an animated file to a finished picture that goes up on the screen, we take care of all of that. Inside of the pipe, we're the ones, we really are the very end of everything. Even because I work in CG, even the editing has already been done ahead of time. We have exact frame ranges. I'll work on 13 frames of this particular shot, and then I'll work on 24 frames of this next shot. And that's exactly how it'll show up whenever it gets projected at the end of the day.
Many students work on side projects at the same time as taking classes to, well, prepare for the real world. Do you know how many hours you worked on these side projects?
All of them have been spent on these things, or thinking about these things, or planning for these things. The longest stretch of time consecutively, a friend of mine and I stayed up in the labs for 72 hours straight. But again, if you want to work in the games industry and you want to actually start to really, if you want to excel at that industry, or if you want to work in film, you've got to be really good. Places like Pixar, places like ILM, they hire the most talented artists and technicians in the entire world.
So would you say that the undergraduate ATEC program challenges students enough to prepare for this, or?
I would say that we do a fairly bad job of telling people what to expect. But I firmly believe that the only person who can challenge someone enough to get out there and do something like that is themselves. No matter how hard the school pushes, there's never going to be that level of excellence unless the students themselves are prepared to put it